Hi, this is Robert from the Open Eye, and today I'm going to offer you a little magical test called Can You or Can't You? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there are a lot of people in the occult empath type community that think they can, but they can't, or they think they can't, but they can, or they're a bit of a hit or miss at what they're doing. So the best way to find these things out is to do them. One of the traps people fall into as far as intuition is that they confuse their own insecurities for psychic input. So somebody might think or be very insecure socially and think people don't like them. And so even though they're out and about, they will have an intuition flash that so and so really dislikes them. And it's got nothing to do with so and so. It has everything to do with their own insecurity. And the reason why they believe it is because other intuitions they've had have come to pass, or they've later found out somebody they thought liked them didn't like them, that kind of thing. And so you get kind of a confirmation bias going on. And it's really important to figure out what is your insecurity versus what is your intuition. Um, Magically, and I guess even with intuition, you get into another trap, which is, oh, I'm so powerful. I know everything. I can manifest everything I want. I can read people as much as anybody else can. Gee, aren't I good? Well, if you're that good, why are you still poor? If you're that good, how come you're still single? If you're that good, how come that person was able to blindside you and send you through this emotional turmoil? Now, all these things are value judgments, I know. Not everybody's goal is to have a spouse. Not everybody's goal is to not be poor. But I hope you get my point, is when somebody tells you how good they are, you gotta look at their life and figure it out for yourself. That goes doubly true for you. If you think you're that good, do an inventory in your life and figure out what you have and what you don't have in comparison to what you really want and need. If those things don't line up, you're not as good as you think you are. It is that simple. So, and other people, and I think most people are in this category, they're more in the hit or miss category, is they recognize that, yeah, they can do some magic, and yes, some things have manifested from that, but they also recognize they've done some magic and nothing's happened. And the intuitive is the same way, right? They've realized that sometimes their intuitions are spot on and other times they're a miss. And at the very least, these types of folks are more balanced. They view their own being and their own beliefs and their own self-perceptions with enough skepticism that they don't bamboozle themselves on a regular basis. So if you have a choice of being one of the three, pick the hit or miss person. That's where you want to be, at least to start. So, but the cold hard truth is we get it wrong. Everybody gets it wrong. I've never met anybody who's manifested every spell they've ever done. I've never met anybody whose intuition was 100% right. It just doesn't work that way, at least for most people. Okay, so we're going to do a little magical test today. And we're going to figure out if you can do magic or if you can't. And this is a long-term test, so if you think you're going to do this in 30 seconds, you're wrong. Magic is a discipline, and this is going to take a little bit of discipline, but not a whole lot. Anybody should be able to do this. So step number one is figure out 5 things that you want to manifest in your life magically. It can be anything. A 75% raise or 75-cent raise. 75% is even better if you can pull that off, right? You might want to date more. Maybe you say, well, I only went on 2 dates last year. I want to date at least 4 different people this year. That's fine. Just pick any 5 things that you want. But the trick is they have to be quantifiable. To get the raise, you have to know how much money you're making now and how much money you make after you do the magic. On the dating thing, you have to know, oh, I only went out on 2 dates last year. I want to go out on 4 dates with 4 different people this year. You can quantify it and figure out whether you're successful or not. So I want you to come up with 5 of them. Once you come up with 5 of them, come up with 5 similar acts of magic you can do to make those things happen. So if you do candle magic, do all 5 candle magics. If you do sympathetic magic, do all 5 using sympathetic magic. You can't make them exactly the same, but you want to get them all in the same genre of magic. Okay? Once you do that, take all the spells and just like name a spell like raise and dates or something like that. Put them in a bag and draw them out one at a time. And that's the order you're going to do the spells in. Okay? The reason for this is you don't want to figure out and say, oh, I want this one the most, therefore I'm going to do it last once I get all this practice in, right? You're going to let the universe tell you which one to do first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Okay? Once you have that done, then do the magic. Very simple. Do all 5 acts of magic, and it doesn't matter if they're on 5 completely different topics, if they're 5 similar topics, who cares? Just do the magic. Now, after a week, look around and see how well you did. Now, there's a trick to this, because some things are going to manifest right now. Okay, you might do the spell to get a 75-cent an hour raise, and the next day you go in and your boss tells you that you're now promoted to shift manager. Awesome, right? It can happen. It can also happen that you do a spell to get that raise, and you see something happen that kind of looks like it might be manifesting that. For instance, the shift manager just gets promoted and now there's a shift manager job open, or the shift manager quits for a better job somewhere else, or some friend of yours says, hey, you know, you're working at Taco Bell right now. I hear Straw Hat's looking for an assistant manager. Maybe you ought to apply there. It might not manifest immediately, but you might start seeing signs if you pay attention in your life that's manifesting. Whatever it is that you see, or nothing at all, write it down. After 30 days, go through the same exercise again. And after 90 days, you should see your magic manifesting. If after 90 days, 3 full turns of the moon, nothing happens, you mark it down as a failure. So you have 3 choices. You can say your magic failed. You can say you kind of think you see it manifesting and suspend judgment for a while, and it happened. After the end of that 90-day period, just look at your score. If you've manifested all 5 of them, you're awesome. If you've manifested 2 or 3 of them, you're kind of a hit or miss person. And if you manifested none of them, then your magic isn't working. Not to worry, just read more, practice more, figure out what didn't work for you, and try again. If you get stuck on something, if you're wondering why your magic isn't manifesting, come on in. We'll talk about it. You don't have to buy anything. Advice is free, and so is my guesswork. So I hope you have the courage to try this test and figure out how much of the magic you're doing is really working. So this is Robert at the Open Eye. Please come in and visit us, subscribe to our YouTube page, and have a great week.